All right.
Cool. I guess we are on.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm Alex. I'm a curriculum manager at Codecademy. I'm actually doing computer science stuff at Codecademy right now, although I did data science for a while. My background is computer science, traditional education. I got a master's and a bachelor's in computer science, and then I taught high school computer science for a couple of years, and then I came to Codecademy in like 2017.
Cool.
And I'm Sophie. So my background in my undergraduate degree is in math, and then my master's degree is in statistics. But I also was like a teacher for many years, a math teacher for high school and middle school students. And then after getting my master's degree, I was kind of looking to blend my newfound coding skills with math skills and also teaching. So that's what led me here. But I'm a curriculum developer on the data science domain. So I'm mostly working on data science curriculum at Codecademy. And Alex and I, when I first started, worked on some database engineering content together. And then more recently, I built out a bunch of our statistics content, and then I'm now working on like supervised machine learning content.
Cool. Very interesting. Thank you, guys. Awesome. So I think that's a very good segue to our very first question that we have here. As you guys are curriculum developers, the very first question that we want to ask you is, how do you decide, what kind of content do you guys need to add to your courses? How do you decide which new courses to introduce in the curriculum? And where do you get your content? Do you create by yourself, or do you, how do you come to do that?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the curriculum strategy. Kind of a combination of multiple things. One is industry trends of things that are becoming more and more popular, and moving away from things that are less popular. Similarly, I think it's like looking at our own data, where we have data about what courses people are taking, what courses people are getting through, courses that people are struggling with. Even just like listening to our users on the forums or on the various ways that they contact us, feedback from our learners really does kind of make an impact in terms of what we decide to build out. And then I think that's kind of like high level curriculum strategy. And then I think once we decide we are going in a certain direction, I think probably at the end of the day, the concrete content items that get made come down a little bit to the curriculum developer that's working on it, where if we know, okay, we want a course on dashboards, one curriculum developer might make a slightly different course than the other. And so I think that there is a little bit of curriculum developer creativity or input once we kind of know the big picture project that they're working on.
Yeah, I think another piece of it, at least more recently, has been that as we've been developing these career paths, we've been focused on trying to figure out what is the minimum level of skill, or what is the minimal subset of topics that we need to teach in order for someone to get an entry-level job in a particular field. And so some of the strategy around that has also been based around what's missing here that someone might be interviewed on, for example, if they were trying to get an entry-level software engineering job or an entry-level data science job. And so that also helps drive some of the strategy. There was a second half to that question.
How do we make it?
Yeah. So I think our strategy for building curriculum has changed, at least over time, at least as long as I've been here. I've only been here about a year and 3 months, so less time than Alex. But in the past, it was, I think, more of a curriculum developer driven process where the curriculum developers were directly creating the content. And over time, we've hired more external contractors and part-time curriculum writers to help us build out curriculum and things that we don't that we personally are not experts in. So we often will hire like a subject matter expert who is an expert in a particular topic, and they are kind of like a consultant who provides guidance on like what they think are the most important topics to teach and how they would teach them. And then we as curriculum developers are kind of pedagogy experts and experts on our platform, and help kind of drive the strategy around how we're going to actually build that content on our site.
Interesting. Well, so it's like a few people have to come up together. Somebody as an SME who comes and guides the entire process, and somebody else builds it. That's amazing. Good to know.
Yeah, it's definitely like a team effort. Of most curriculum developers are leading like a team of 3 to 4 people that are all kind of working on a course together.
Yeah, and also, from learning point of view, we can confirm that we have seen a constant progression on how the content is being produced now. We are seeing that with time, there's so much better content coming out, and everybody is enjoying it itself as well. And that's why you see more traction on the platform too. So good going, guys.
I think one of the struggles, or one of the interesting things moving to this like team format, rather than just like the curriculum developer doing it themselves, is just like the trying to get the tone across a single lesson or even across our entire catalog the same, where now we have so many more people writing content, but we still want it to feel like Codecademy, where that's definitely part of the role of a curriculum developer, to kind of like make sure that things feel consistent across whatever unit of content you're making.
Completely, yep. Cool. Good information, guys. Anybody else wants to kind of like pick up on that, or we can move on to the next question? I think we are good. We'll take silence for like 3 seconds as yes. All right. So the next one that we have here is, this is something that me and Erin, basically Erin put together. We met yesterday. We cleansed out a little bit. So we're just asking questions from that bunch right now. But in between, if anybody else has any questions that they would want to clarify, feel free to jump in. It's that kind of session that we want to be in. All right. So for the data science courses, we see that there are plenty of data science courses coming up. They're growing by leaps and bounds. What advice do you have for a person who is just starting the data science field, from where to start and how to progress? And I know there's a career path, but it could be like follow the career path, but what else, something that you could not tell with the career path, if you will?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's hard to give one size fits all advice on that. I think it depends on where you're coming from. The career path is really built towards being a place where someone could come from zero experience all the way up to potentially an entry-level data science job, which is to say that like the career path starts at basic Python skills. So just like, what is a for loop? Like, what is a dictionary? What is a variable even? Like, and so so I think the strategy for someone who's interested in data science is really different depending on where you're coming from, whether you have some programming experience, but you are now interested in learning more about how you can utilize that for data analysis, or whether you have some data analysis experience and you have been using, say, another programming language or even like Excel, and now you want to automate some of those tasks and you want to and learn like some machine learning algorithms or something like that. So it's kind of, the career path is a good place to start for understanding like a full progression if you were starting from zero. But if you're coming in and trying to do a job switch, or you're coming in with some prior technical skills and you're trying to like figure out where to enter that path, I think takes a little bit more research. Another thing, and I'm not sure I can give like a straight answer as to how to go about that. But one thing we are trying to do a little bit more of is break up the content that's in the career paths and break it into smaller courses. So for example, now like a lot of the content I've built about hypothesis testing, that exists as a separate course. The like summary statistics stuff exists as a separate course. The machine learning stuff exists as a separate course right now. Python obviously exists as a separate course. And I think there's, you know, like NLP too, the deep learning. So like all of that exists as modular things. So if there's a particular skill that you're interested in learning, I definitely recommend kind of searching for that on the site and just trying to like zoom in on a particular topic. Or if you feel like, if you look through the progression of the career path and you feel like there's a good entry point, like I know all the stuff above here, then definitely don't hesitate to jump around and like jump in at the point that feels right to you. Anything to add?
No, I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, I think the career path is built for someone to go from 0 to hopefully entry level position. But it's like, hey, I have a job interview coming up and I need to brush up on linear regression. Hopefully we have, well, one, you can probably look in the career path to specifically find that kind of stuff. But hopefully we have broken that out into a course, and we've done that for a lot of these subjects to be able to just find, I just need the deep dive on linear regression or, you know, any of these other topics.
Cool. So if you're following a career path, follow it all the way from beginning to the end. Or if you're interested in any kind of certain courses, then pick and choose which one do you want to be in. Cool. Yeah. Good. Any further clarification? Anyone wants to clarify on that?
I have a question, but it's not pertaining to that.
That's okay.
The curriculum, do you think you guys might add more of the hardware aspect to computers?
Yeah, that's actually probably more relevant to computer science, the stuff that I'm working on, rather than data science. We just added, or I think it's in the beta catalog right now. It's the curriculum is, I think, 100% done, but we're waiting on some like art assets to come in.
Wonderful.
But it's sitting in the beta catalog, which you can find on our course, and it's a course about computer architecture. So not super hardware related, just more like low level computing stuff.
Okay.
And then we have a like circuit Python course, which is really our only like straight up hardware course on the catalog. Those have a barrier to entry, obviously, of not only do you have to be using Codecademy, but you probably also, to really get the full experience, you also have to have this circuit Python board in front of you. And so we've thought about, hey, should we do Raspberry Pi? Should we do some of these other like hardware courses? Which is definitely on our radar, but I think we're a little bit hesitant to do it just because we know so many people can't interact with that because they need to get the hardware itself. But it's something that we're definitely thinking about.
Yeah, my son would be interested in learning more about the inner workings of the computer.
Check out go find the Circuit Python stuff. Adafruit is the specific company that we worked with. And it's like a little board, and you can all the courses about how to make it light up in certain ways, teaching programming fundamentals using the hardware. So it's pretty fun.
Thank you.
Cool. That's nice. I did not knew about that hardware course. Interesting. Cool. So I think let's go to the next one. What we have here is, so right now job postings for data scientists can ask for skills ranging from experiences with Excel to database design and everything in between. Do you see like general requirements for data scientist positions starting to coalesce anytime soon, or there's like an industry standard coming in market?
I mean, yeah, it's been a while since I've done a deep dive into job postings, but I feel like the whole title data science data scientist has been kind of a catch-all for a long time of different types of positions. I know I have personally a number of like friends and former like students in my master's program who are all data scientists, and they're all doing very different jobs in their actual day-to-day work. So so yeah, I mean, I think my personal answer is no. I don't really see that becoming more streamlined. I think if anything, the whole title of data scientist, I think over time is going to break up into more specific titles. So there will be like NLP engineer and machine learning engineer and I don't know, like data analyst, or you know, I foresee that people are gonna stop using this catch-all phrase maybe at some point and be more specific about exactly what they want in a particular job. I think now, when I was applying for jobs, whenever I read or saw a data scientist posting, I was very clear to like read the job description really carefully and try to understand what exactly that job was asking for, because I think the title data scientist doesn't really narrow things down very
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably also really depends on the size of the company, the kind of current status of the company, where, you know, if you're the fourth employee, you're probably going to be doing very, very different data related jobs than, you know, a data scientist on a team of hundreds of data scientists.
Yeah, and I'm sure it also matters like how big the company is in terms of like how much data they're collecting. Like if you have a small business, you're collecting a very different amount of data than if you're, you know, Facebook or something.
Yeah, I started at Codecademy before there was a data scientist team, a data science team, I think, and so that job, even within the past, you know, 3.5 years at Codecademy, looks very different now than it did back then.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember when I was applying to master's programs, I was interested in learning more data skills, whatever that might mean. I was just basically interested in upskilling in terms of my ability to analyze data and work with data. And at the time, I was trying to decide whether I should go into like get a degree in data science or a degree in statistics. And people kind of advised me at the time that it's basically the same. In a lot of ways, it's basically the same thing. And the statistics degree, I think, is maybe more grounded in the math behind it, and like understanding assumptions and like more traditional methods, if you will. And data science, some of the newer data science programs are really like taking those same methods but applying more like algorithmic approaches to fitting models or accomplishing kind of like the same sort of goal. But even, you know, this was 3 years ago now, that like there wasn't a clear understanding within academia or within the industry of like what the difference between those two fields are. And I think even now, my professors in graduate school, all of whom were statisticians, were very much of the mindset like people think that data science is this hot new thing, but they don't realize that like statisticians have been doing it for years. But we just recently have developed more computing power and like newer methods to deal with issues of big data that like our mathematical formulas are not fast enough. We need other approaches for fitting this model, but it's really the same thing. All of which to say that like I think the term data science is a little bit nebulous, and it means different things to different people, and lots of people have very strong opinions about it. But at the end of the day, if you're interested in working with data, then that's a great place to start. And then I think the next most important thing in terms of jobs is just like finding a way that you can apply understanding of data to problems that you're interested in. And so for me, that's like education. But yeah.
Let's see. So it seems like, if you need to peel that in a little bit, seems like data science, as you said, is a very broad term. But if you need to break it down, or, a person who is just starting to learning Python or starting to learning SQL, they will not be a data scientist. They will not get a data scientist position anywhere in the industry. It's going to be very tough. So for those kind of people, what do you suggest? What kind of, I won't say like job titles, but what kind of positions should they be looking for? What kind of entry-level titles that they should be applying to, if you will?
That's a hard question. I think like I was saying before, I think the key, at least for me, when I was applying to jobs after graduate school, was looking for a place where I could kind of tackle questions that I care about. And I think I've heard a lot of advice from other people that if you're really interested in getting a data scientist position, like look for a data analyst position at a company that you really like, and then try to transfer to data science. Because I think in some sense, at a lot of companies, like data science is seen as like one level above data analyst positions, but
that's a good like practical recommendation, even if it's like not necessarily true or shouldn't necessarily be that way, or like the distinction between those two things is.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of ways where you can find an angle of something that you care about or that you do have skill in or value add in, and then make a pivot within a company. And I know, like, from my experience, from my friend's experience, getting an entry-level data scientist job, even if you have an advanced degree, is a challenge. So it's a lot easier if you kind of like find the right angle with whatever your skills are. And I think that can differ depending on the person.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I've even seen, we've had people from the curriculum team who started as curriculum developer in like computer science or something, then were interested in data science, and so started working on like a little bit of data science curriculum, and then transferred to the data science team even within Codecademy. And that's again a path where it's like if you know how to teach a technical skill, then you know how to learn a new technical skill, and then you just kind of like take step after step if that's the direction you want to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I had never written a line of SQL before starting my job at Codecademy, and I didn't need to. Right, I joined Codecademy writing like introductory Python content and like machine learning content that didn't involve databases in any way. And so working at this like totally unrelated job, I'm not a data scientist, working this job has given me SQL experience, and I don't think I could become I don't think I could apply for a data scientist job at Codecademy right now and get that job, but I think that I could. I'm certainly much closer now, and it would just take a little bit of, I need the math background, and then I just need to get a little bit better at SQL. And then if I studied the math or was able to at least talk about the math in a competent way, and then was just a little bit more self-confident in SQL, I think I'm a lot closer to being able to get one of those jobs. And so being in a position where at least you are kind of exposed to the world of data definitely helps.
Yeah, just so I think what I could sum up from all of that is be curious in the data feed, and try to explore new opportunities, and you'll find your way. If you get blocked by a new language, try to learn that, give it a shot, and maybe it'll open up many other opportunities door for you.
Yeah, and I think that's our advice, whether it's data science or anything else that you're studying, of just like, and it's not even go find a company that you're interested in, it's work on a side project that you're genuinely interested in. And because you're interested in it, you're actually gonna see it to its end or find a conclusion that you're happy with, rather than just like grinding through something that you don't really even care about.
Cool. Awesome. Good discussions. All right. So I have one more question, and it's about, what do you guys think about the people who are taking courses? So what is the most important quality for students to have in order to be, successful in these Codecademy courses? What do you think that people are actually lacking, but if they have this one thing or few things, they can, have a very successful career, if you will?
I think to use our courses really successfully, you need to, and similar to what we just said about like being curious of, and I think that we could develop curriculum that encourages this way a little bit better. But I think that you walk through our courses and you learn specific syntax, and hey, I just learned how to add an element to an array, and now I know that. And then, but you don't really know it yet, or you know it, but you don't know all of the different implications of that and all the different creative ways that you can use that. And oh, now I can add this element to an array, and that enables me to create this system that I never even thought about before. And so I think like, one, certainly at least I want to build curriculum that like encourages that, just like exploring what you can do with these elements that you've learned a little bit better, rather than just learning this is how you do it, which I think actually we do through projects. And so I think take the project seriously, or do the projects and complete them, and then spin them off into your own thing, or experiment with the final solution code of the project. Really kind of like, go beyond exactly what the lesson requires you to pass, because if you just pass every exercise, you'll know the syntax, but you won't necessarily have the like creative thinking that can really take you to the next level, I think.
Yeah, I think adding on to that, at least when I was first learning how to code, for example, I never really learned something until I had to figure out how to do it a few times in different contexts. And so I think like if you take I think our lessons are overall pretty handholdy, in that like whenever we ask someone to write some code, we try to give an example of that same code used in a very similar circumstance somewhere on the same page. And so it forces you to apply, like to read something and then immediately apply it, but integrating all of those concepts at once or recalling that information immediately doesn't necessarily happen in lessons. It's not like we really have a lot of opportunities to like teach you something in one exercise and then like 5 exercises later ask you to recall that information without giving you the syntax again. And so I think again, like the real learning, or the real like the point at which you really internalize that information is when you have to solve a specific problem, and you're not like you're not immediately learning some information and applying it to a very similar situation. You're like out in the wild and working on your own problem and encounter a problem, and you think like, oh, I learned something that might be applicable here. Let me Google that again and see if I can remember how to implement it. And then you implement it, and maybe it's buggy the first time, and then you have to Google on Stack Overflow and find the solution.
Yeah, you'll have 50 tools in your tool belt, and 2 of those tools is going to be the right thing, and you need to know which ones those are. And I think we don't do a great job of like of helping people develop that skill of like knowing how to say, this is a problem, I don't know how to solve it, but I have all these tools, how can I use those to get to what I need to do?
I would say we do a great job of introducing you to the tools so that you like have that somewhere in the back of your mind, where if you encountered a problem that required that tool in the next like month after you learned it, then you now have that in the back of your mind to kind of fall back on. And again, I think like in programming, in data science in general, like the skill, the thing you want to build towards is not necessarily having like memorizing all of this information and just having it at your beck and call, because nobody can hold that much information in their head at once. The skill that you, or enough context, enough like experience with a bunch of different things that you know how to problem solve.
All right, is it just me or did I lose Alex?
We lost her.
Yeah, they've frozen.
All right, Alex, Sophie. For some reason, we are not able to hear you guys at all. No, it was a good flow of conversation we had going there. All right, Sophie is joining in from her side, I guess.
Hi.
Hey, Sophie.
Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. I was just saying we had a good flow of conversations going on there, and it just broke. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I also think like, so this is something that we as curriculum developers know that we want to do more. And so I would love to even hear from our learners where they feel like we do this well and where they feel like we don't prep them enough for this. I know that Learn Python 3, oops, it says it can't detect our microphone. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you
Yeah.
now. We can hear you, we can see you. It's good, but seems like now it's stuck.
Yeah, they're frozen again.
Yeah, it's frozen again.
Yeah, when you said, Sandy, the question about entry-level positions, I was thinking of something like that to add.
Yeah,
Like what can I go apply for with my bachelor's degree?
no, I think
Wow.
it's, hey guys.
Sorry, that's very bizarre. But we just grabbed a second computer and both of them crashed.
Wow.
Maybe it's with the internet in this building or something, but
Yeah,
sorry about that.
that's fine. You're good.
Yeah, I was saying, I was going on a tangent of in the Learn Python 3 course, at the very end, there are these code challenges, which is us trying to do this exact thing of like, here's a problem that you could use any of the tools that you learned over the course of this course to solve it. And it's really difficult. Like, I think it's some of our least completed content, or like the content that people ask for the solution for the most. And so that's not a failing of the learners, that's really a failing of like us not prepping our learners for this kind of thinking. And so, yeah, I'm interested in developing more content that like helps people get to that point. And yeah, I'm curious what kind of content our learners find that feels like, you know, it's giving them those like aha moments or getting them to that point where they can do that kind of problem.
Cool. Two questions there. One is, if learners actually have to provide feedback, how are we doing that? I don't know if there's like a certain way that where we can go and we can, I know there's get help feature that you can connect with someone, you can recommend something that it is wrong here, or, you know, maybe this could be better, but I don't know if there's any other way for learners to provide feedback on any kind of lesson.
Yeah, I think it's through all of the different places on the lesson or exercise where you can get in contact with us in any way. So that get help button does go to somebody. And that kind of stuff does eventually filter directly to the curriculum developers, where we will see either bug reports. We will see, we have a curriculum quality person whose job it is to go through those bug reports. I think the forums are also a good place to post that kind of stuff, where just saying whether or not this exercise was confusing, this exercise was really helpful, I didn't feel prepared to do this exercise, like going to the forums, sharing that with the other learners, I think is a good way to get all of that across. Because again, we have a whole community team that's kind of on those forums, and our Discord actually, which is something that that Sophie and I both got on recently. Our Discord seems pretty active. Again, that's run by our community department, and so talking about the courses in there is a good way to kind of get our attention.
Question. So do you mind Discord, the forums, and maybe even the curriculum itself for information to see how people are going? Do you see how many times people on this particular page click the get stuck button?
Yeah, so that's data that we have. We wish we use that more actively. We have it. It's a resource that we use, but not super systematically. A good example of that was like these code challenges that used to be in the Python course. They used to be in lessons, which made them kind of a pain in the butt to get through if you were frustrated and wanted to just move on, because you would have to fail this code challenge to get onto the next code challenge, and fail that one to get onto the next one. And so we moved those into articles where you could kind of see all of the code challenges at once. You could bounce around, you could move to different things. That was one instance where we really kind of used the data to see, are more people trying these different problems? Are people being more successful? So yeah, I felt good about that, where that was like an instance of us using the learner data that we have to hopefully make a better experience.
I at one point had like a dashboard of the number of, or the proportion of people that submitted like a correct response on their first try for all of the exercises I had ever written. It was super interesting data. Like you could definitely tell very quickly what are the hard exercises and what are the easy exercises and what's in the middle. But yeah, we haven't really, our data science team actually is like pretty small, and we don't have anyone specifically focused on curriculum at the moment. So we as curriculum developers have a lot of content that we're just trying to produce. So we don't have, as much time to really focus on the data there and impact of it. But I think in the future, one of our goals as a team is to like invest more in that at some point.
Sweet.
Have you thought of adding like a chatbot to the curriculum?
Like for help, like for learners to interact with the chatbot?
Yeah, or for learners that are actually in the lessons at the same place to chat with each other.
Oh, that's interesting. We've had variations of that over the years. We used to have like mentors, I think we called them, which were folks that real people that were like on a chat line kind of service. I don't know, that's a little bit out of like curriculum. I think that kind of stuff is always on the back of people's minds, but I don't know the current status of.
Well, I know we now have cohorting for career paths. So there is some sort of setup where like anybody who started the career path at the same time, you can opt to join into that cohort and then hopefully be able to plan out some like joint code reviews or whatever. But yeah, we don't have that formally as like a immediate, I need help. Who else is working on this?
Who else is here right now? That'd be really cool.
That would be really cool.
Pair you up with someone that's in the same exercise as you at the exact same time.
Yeah, or close. Like maybe you're having problems, and maybe you could find somebody that's a lesson ahead of you that can give you advice without giving you the answer, right?
Yeah.
But because one of the reason I asked that is because one of the things, and I don't do this either, but I'm very asynchronous. I almost never code at the same time. So I can't really, I'd have to set something up with somebody to schedule. But in my work environment, right, almost everybody pair codes. We have a lot of pair coding. And for people that haven't done it before, there's resistance because it's uncomfortable, it makes you feel insecure, right? If you've got imposter syndrome, it's hard. But on the flip side, like when you're talking about curiosity, the people that have the curiosity that they want to learn and they're willing to learn from anybody, right? Like somebody that can be less advanced than you can also teach you something because they still come from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And they still might see a mistake that you've missed because they just, they're asking the questions. And that ends up being valuable because it's a learning experience and it's also a peer review. It's an immediate peer review that you're getting, so you don't have to set up a separate code review to do it, theoretically, right? So there's a lot of value in that. And as I was thinking, is like, you could almost build that into the curriculum by allowing people to link up with somebody else right live that's doing it and maybe gets a solution or get into the idea, like a very easy way to get into pair programming and see how it works.
Yeah.
But just a thought. I'm just one person.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of pair programming. That's what all of my coursework, is in the lab. You have a partner. You're working on a coding problem together. And yeah, I think that's great. I know that that's definitely something that's on the radar of something that we're interested in making, because right now only one person, like each workspace is unique to an individual, and you can't have another person in there at all. So. I think folks are looking into having two people within the same code editor at the same time, which would definitely enable that kind of pair programming.
That would be really neat.
Yeah.
You're getting a good. Sorry, go ahead.
The reason I just thought of this is I saw, I'm going to butcher the name, El Crocodrilo, one of the admins on the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
And he was streaming his work on the bot. And so I logged in and I was watching it. I was looking at it and I couldn't help myself. I started asking questions and he would answer it. And it was really interesting. And even though, he was doing it, I think it was in JavaScript, and I'm not, that's not what I'm studying. But I could still, I could look through and see what he was doing. And that was really interesting. And I asked him, why are you doing it this way? Why are you structuring it this way? And he went through and laid out what he was doing. That was really interesting and valuable.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, if more people, if the Discord, if we've got enough people boosting it now, I imagine we could have more people just saying, hey, I want to do some, people that are more advanced saying, doing the streaming of their coding and letting people come in and watch, or even if you all would do it when you're working sometimes, and you're willing to have people ask you stupid questions, it could be really interesting and valuable for a lot of the students.
We've definitely floated that idea to some engineers. Like Sophie and I do so many of these live streams, and we have some very eager engineers that are like, yeah, I would be down to like stream my work for like 30 minutes and just like talk about it. But we've never gotten that together. And I imagine that there's like other people that wouldn't be as into like streaming some live coding. But
I do think that in our live streams is one of the most valuable things. Like it can be hard to plan a whole lesson, but I think that sometimes actually what's more valuable is just letting people kind of get a window into what you're working on and a window into like your full computer and setup and all of those things, not just like the isolated piece of code that you might see on a Codecademy exercise. So, and those are like our last live, or my last live stream for the SAT stuff. We kind of like did a just open-ended exercise. We're like, we're going to build a model and didn't plan it out. And it was really, I think, really fun for me. Not a lot of planning went into it. But I think not very many people show up to these things, but the people that do show up, I think do find it valuable or interesting to just see the process and not have it be also like a, like a perfectly scripted thing, because that's really not how real life is. It's not like I've practiced.
Yeah, seeing us like stumble through our Google searches and like Sophie can't find it, and now I'm on my computer like looking
Alex
for it.
is Googling functions for me, But that kind of process is, real life. So I think that is really valuable. You just have to find people that are comfortable kind of
Bingo.
with, doing that in live. Live.
If you're on the Discord, then that's a slightly more limited audience.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
So then that, because there's chances you might have already chatted with somebody in the different areas. And then the other thing I was gonna say, I had another thought related to that. Streaming. Oh, I was just to say, when you talk about small groups, I realized, so when I run my chapters, I don't have many people in mine either. I think it varies from like 4 to 8 people, depending. Then I realized I don't really care. I like that size group. I can
Yeah.
actually theoretically talk, like here, we can talk to each person here. There's an opportunity for that. And I like that.
Yeah, we find that in our live streams where it's
Yeah.
like we get to know the people that interact with that. They like ask good questions. They ask questions from about the previous session. They're really kind of engaged rather than it's hard to speak to a huge group that you don't know their context or where they're coming from.
Yes, it's about the quality, not the quantity.
Well, and I guess it's also sort of the community thing, right? Because in a sense, that's part of how this builds community is we can have those interactions and see different people and then reach out. So, hey, I saw you were at this last event. What did you think? And do you want to do something together?
Yeah.
So I mean, it has again for you two speaking here, for maybe not so much, don't know, but for the rest of us here, probably it has more of an impact. So.
No, I mean, I very much, the reason why I come to these events is I'm like very desperate for the feeling of community again. I think sometimes our jobs can feel a little siloed where we're building the stuff and putting it out there. And then, we get bug reports, but we don't necessarily get to have conversations about like positive feedback, people that are enjoying the content or what, back and forth about what people's experiences. And I think that's a little what we get in the live streams. And again, that's what we get in these conversations that I really crave.
And I think that's what the company wants too, right? We're a subscription service where we don't want someone taking a single course and then saying, great, I learned it. I never want to see you again, right? We want people that are like invested in the community, that feel like that they have people to go to talk to learn something new. I really think like emphasizing community is one way to like make this subscription service model work.
Well, and part of me says that I think there's actually so much more potential for Codecademy and what you can do, thinking outside the box for curriculum. Like what I was saying, like adding like the ability to chat with somebody that's also on the same page and go beyond that. I mean, it all depends, like what you're saying with your streaming. So for instance, some people might want to see, well, how do you all decide what you're going to develop in the next 2 weeks? What's your, again, I'm a Scrum Master, so I naturally think that way, but I don't know how many people here have seen that and might really like to see inside, behind the scenes, how does Codecademy do that? How do you use user stories? Do you actually have sprint reviews, and would you want to have some people from the community come that have used a particular things that could say, hey, yeah, I just tried out your beta of discrete mathematics. I really liked this. I really struggled with this. Or do you want, or you could even do sprint reviews where you're saying, hey, we just reached this out. We'd like somebody that's taking the course to live stream it.
Yeah.
As they're doing it. And then that's sort of a sprint review because you're actually seeing the user use your curriculum. You could have 8 people doing it at once. You don't have to have all focused on one person, but that could give you some real feedback to see, okay, this is what they're doing and they're struggling in this area. We need to change our user interface.
Yeah.
So it could really, that would, I mean, tell me this, does anybody else do anything like that?
Yeah, I do think that one of the things about Codecademy is that it's hard to compare to other similar sites, but I do think that our courses we make them fairly slowly. Like it takes us a while to put out a new course, but that's because it goes through a lot of different phases. And I do think that, that would be something that would kind of differentiate us if we got users involved in like, hey, we're building out this discrete math course. Here's our like proposed syllabus. Like, what do you guys think? Here's the first draft of this narrative. What do you guys think? Like, I think we're slowly starting to do that, where even like the beta catalog is a thing that didn't exist 6 months ago. And so that's an interesting idea of getting user feedback throughout like the entire process rather than just like, here it is. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been bugging Fede by giving him feedback constantly, and he just kind of stopped responding after a while. He's like, oh, let me pass this on at first, but then he's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too, that it's just like, there's also only so much we can do, right? We want to like look at the data more. We want to be talking with our users more. We want to be live streaming more. It's like, there's so much that we want to do that it's sometimes hard to to figure out what the best thing to do is.
Yeah, don't think I was being
Yeah,
critical.
Oh, no, we,
This was from a position of love. Like, it's like I love what you're doing. I really like the way, because the way you present your courses is the best way for me to start learning. It really kicks me up and keeps me engaged. And I've done coding in the past, but like career choices changes and whatnot, so that took me away from it. So I haven't done it for years. And then it came back and the language has evolved. Oh, there's new stuff. And the way that it's presented here is engaging and keeps me going. So that's great and perfect for me. So I'm just thinking like, what else might help other people? And the reason, like what I suggested came up is on Discord. So I'm one of the code counselors, and on Discord, somebody was coming up and saying, I just hit the wall. Has anybody, been coding and it's made you cry? And I was like, oh, okay. And immediately I was thinking like, okay, what could help this person now? And that's why I was saying might help if somebody, and he's doing his own project, so it's not your curriculum, don't worry. He's not crying from what you did. But it could be a way to,
I'm sure someone is.
yeah, that would be really bad on the stream, wouldn't it? But that's what got me thinking about, okay, what could we do to help people like this that go through this wall and are feeling that they're failures and they can't get through it. And that's where that came from. It had nothing to do with like problems with your curriculum.
No,
Totally,
I'm 100% on your page. Like I said, I come from a classroom teaching experience, and I taught geometry for 3 years, I think. And like over the course of those 3 years, after, I taught the exact same lesson, by the third time, I was like, I know exactly what students are going to have trouble with in this lesson, because I've now seen their faces. I've seen like their quizzes at the end of this module, whatever it is. And that made, by the third year, I did a much better job of teaching it than I did in my first year. And so I think like that same logic applies to this. Like and that's part of why we do the live streams, is like when I finish curriculum, I feel like it's not done. It needs some time to actually go through some iterations. People need to take it and like tell me what the pain points are. But yeah, we're a pretty small operation, so we're still trying to figure out like how to make that happen. But yeah, I'm on the same page 100%.
I just wonder if all of these kind of problems that you guys have inside Codecademy, like analysis problem that you guys are dealing with, maybe you can shed some of that work to the community, that hey, we have the small data set, go play around with this. This is the kind of thing that we are trying to do. If somebody figures it out, it's it's win-win for all of us. It's like Kaggle. Kaggle creates like a project.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Like here's our data on some course, like try to help us identify, I don't even know what parts they need to be improved.
Where do people get stuck more? Or this is where where do people get stuck more? And that way we will also get an experience that this is what we are playing with. This is what happens on the back end. This is how my interaction with this system is actually transposing into data on the back end.
Right.
So would be pretty cool.
That would be fun. Maybe, I mean, we could even make that a Codecademy project of like, data scientist final project in the career path. Like here's the data about the data science career path.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, when we have these chapter meetups, we kind of go through all these problems among ourselves, but it's good to finally meet with like curriculum developers and get behind that mindset. What's happening on that side of the table. How are you guys thinking about what we are interacting with?
Yeah.
So pretty cool experience. Cool. We are almost at an hour. I don't know. Does anybody else have any questions? We have a few more, but I think, it gets so intense. We can keep on having interactions about all this. And we just will be sitting here all day. So unless anybody else has any more questions, we should get these two guys again, maybe like in a few weeks, once they have some winding down, and pick their brains again.
Well, thanks guys. This has been fun. Good to meet all of you. Post in the Discord. I check the computer science channel on the Discord a lot. I know Sophie's on there. I don't know how often you check it. I honestly forget to check. I usually look at it like once a day.
I should check. I should check it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's great.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot. Everybody who's the chapter leader or who are chapter members, keep on working hard and keep coding. That's how we are going to make things better. Take care. Bye.
Yes. Take
Thanks a lot.
care. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.